Welcome back, guys. So today's video is a follow through of yesterday's video. Today I'm going to be asking Chatgpt for more scary stories. So let's not waste time and let's get right into this video. Katie was a young woman who had just moved into a new apartment in the city. She loved her new place, but she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. Every time she looked out the window, she felt like there was someone lurking in the shadows. At first, she brushed it off as her imagination. But as time went on, the feeling only grew stronger. One day, she came home from work to find a note on her doorstep. The note was written in a shaky, unreadable handwriting, and it read, "I'm watching you." Katie's heart raced as she read the note. She felt like she was being hunted and she didn't know who to turn to for help. She started to carry pepper spray with her wherever she went, and she made sure to lock all the doors and windows before she went to bed at night. One night, Katie woke up to the sound of tapping on her window. She was too afraid to look outside, but the tapping continued, growing louder and more persistent. Finally, she mustered up the courage to look outside, and what she saw made her blood run cold. There was a man standing outside her window, staring at her with unblinking eyes. He was wearing a hooded sweatshirt and a pair of dark sunglasses, and Katie couldn't see his face. She tried to scream, but no sound came out of her mouth. The man tapped on the window again, and this time he spoke. His voice was low and raspy, and it sent chills down Katie's spine. "I've been watching you," he said. "You're mine now." Katie was paralyzed with fear. She didn't know what to do or where to turn. She tried calling the police, but they told her they couldn't do anything unless the man actually harmed her. For weeks, the stalker continued to torment Katie, leaving notes and tapping on her window late at night. She felt like she was living in a nightmare, and she didn't know how to escape it. One day, she decided enough was enough. She packed up her things and moved out of the apartment. Leaving no forwarding address, she changed her phone number and her email address, and she did everything she could to disappear. But even now, years later, Katie looks over her shoulder, wondering if the stalker will ever find her again. She knows she can never truly escape the fear that he instilled in her, and she lives in constant fear that he'll come back for her. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled deep in a dense forest, there was a legend about a demon who terrorized the townsfolk. According to the legend, the demon had been summoned by a group of villagers who had dabbled in dark magic many years ago. The demon had granted them their desires, but at a terrible cost. The villagers had foolishly made a deal with the demon, and now the demon demanded their souls in return. The villagers had been unable to banish the demon, and it continued to haunt the village, wreaking havoc and causing destruction. The demon was said to be a towering figure with eyes that glowed red like hot coals, and skin that was black as the night sky. It was rumored that the demon had the power to possess people's bodies and drive them to do unspeakable things. One dark and stormy night, a young woman named Anna was walking home from a late-night shift at the local tavern. As she passed by the old abandoned church, she heard strange noises coming from inside. Curiosity got the better of her, and she went inside to investigate. As soon as Anna stepped inside, she felt a cold chill run down her spine. The air was thick with the stench of rotting flesh, and the walls were covered in strange symbols and markings. Suddenly, the door slammed shut, and Anna was trapped inside. She could hear the demon's sinister laughter echoing through the halls. Anna tried to run, but the demon was too fast. It possessed her body, and Anna's eyes turned a bright shade of red. She was no longer in control of her own actions. The demon forced Anna to do terrible things, things that she would never have done on her own. It made her hurt her friends and loved ones, and Anna was powerless to stop it. For days, Anna was trapped in her own body, forced to do the bidding of the evil demon. She was unable to break free from its grasp, and the demon continued to terrorize the village. In the end, the villagers had to call upon a powerful witch to help them banish the demon once and for all. The witch was able to break the demon's hold on Anna's body, but the experience had left her traumatized and scarred for life. From that day on, the villagers made sure to stay clear of the abandoned church, for fear that the demon would return and possess them too. And they all vowed never to dabble in dark magic again, lest they summon the evil demon once more. A young couple had just moved into their dream home in the countryside. The house was old and rustic, with a large yard that overlooked a dense forest. It was the perfect place to start a family and settle down. But as the days passed, strange things began to happen. The couple heard odd noises at night, footsteps creaking across the floorboards when nobody was there. They saw shadows moving in the corner of their vision and felt cold drafts blowing through the house. They tried to brush it off as their imagination, but things only got worse. One night, the woman woke up to find her husband standing at the foot of the bed, staring blankly ahead. She tried to wake him up, but he wouldn't respond. Days turned into weeks, and the couple began to feel like they were being watched. They saw dark figures lurking in the woods, their eyes gleaming in the moonlight. They felt a malevolent presence in the house and knew that something was very wrong. One night, the couple decided to investigate. They crept through the house, searching for the source of the strange noises. They found an old door in the basement that they hadn't noticed before, hidden behind a pile of boxes. They opened the door and saw a staircase leading down into the darkness. The air grew colder and the couple's breath came out in ragged gasps. But they felt a compulsion to keep going, driven by a force they couldn't understand. As they reached the bottom of the stairs, they saw a room that was bathed in red light. In the center of the room, there was a figure that was neither human nor animal. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its skin was cold and clammy to the touch. The couple tried to run, but it was too late. The creature had already claimed them, and they were never seen again. The house remained abandoned, a warning to anyone who dared to enter, for the couple had stumbled upon something ancient and evil, something that should never have been disturbed. In a small village nestled in the mountains, there was a dark and forbidden ritual that had been passed down from generation to generation. It was said that the ritual could grant immense power to those who performed it, but at a terrible cost. The ritual required a sacrifice, a living being who was willing to offer themselves up to the gods in exchange for power and knowledge. But nobody dared to speak of the ritual openly, for fear of being punished by the elders of the village. One night, a young woman named Maria stumbled upon the secret ritual. She was out walking in the woods, trying to clear her head, when she saw a group of people gathered around a fire. They were dressed in robes, and their faces were hidden by masks. Maria crept closer, her heart pounding with fear and curiosity. She saw that they were performing the forbidden ritual, and that a young man had been chosen as the sacrifice. The man was screaming, his body withering in pain, as the elders chanted ancient words that Maria couldn't understand. She knew that she had to do something, but she was frozen in place, unable to move. As the ritual reached its climax, the ground shook and the sky turned blood red. Maria watched in horror as the sacrifice was consumed by a swirling vortex of energy, his screams echoing through the mountains. The elders turned to face Maria, their eyes cold and unfeeling. They knew that she had witnessed the ritual and that she could never be allowed to leave the village alive. Maria tried to run, but the elders were too fast. They caught her and dragged her back to the circle, where they forced her to take the place of the sacrificed man. Maria screamed and fought, but it was no use. The elders were too strong, and the ritual too powerful. She felt the energy coursing through her body and knew that she had made a terrible mistake. As the ritual ended, Maria collapsed to the ground, her body spent and broken. The elders gathered around her, their faces twisted in a cruel smile. They had gained the power they sought, and Maria had paid the ultimate price. The village was never the same after that night. The people lived in fear, knowing that the elders had access to unspeakable power, and Maria's spirit lingered in the woods, a warning to anyone who dared to seek out the forbidden ritual. Well, I thank you all for listening. I hope these stories frightened you and scared you. I know Mr. Midnight is not here, and he would love to instill fear and terror in your hearts. If you want him to return, make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll see you again very soon. I will be saying Mr. Midnight's catchphrase. And always remember, the darkness always follows.